Hello everybody, my name is Coolblue, and I am bringing you guys the 27th interview in the CasNet series, and we are joined here by the one and only LlamaDownUnder. Not down over or over under, but the one down and under. And Llama, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself to the people out there?
Yeah, hi, I'm Llama. I cast some Dota sometimes. Actually, a lot of the time. Kind of what I spend all my free time on.
It's, it's basically a day job now. Let's just call it that.
It's not. I wish I could say it were. We can talk about that a bit later. But yeah, I consider it a very life-consuming hobby that I would love to make more.
Yes, but it's a healthy hobby, unlike other hobbies that you could have. They're a lot more
I don't know.
dangerous.
I don't know if it's healthy. You sit down all day.
Alright, we'll discuss semantics. We'll discuss this later. But would you like to go ahead and just let us know a little bit more about yourself in real life? Just like, generic work field, generic school major if you're still in school, just basic things like that.
I work in software development out in Seattle. I have an ECE degree, I guess. Yeah, got that one. It's actually funny. I got employed before I technically had my degree just because my school only issues diplomas at one point during the year. And I was like really worried that on the spot my work was gonna like freak out, and because I didn't have a diploma to show them as like proof that I graduated. I only had like someone from my school can email you and tell you, and they were like, oh, we don't give a shit. And I was like, oh really? And they're like, yeah, no, it's fine, here's some money.
So ECE, just for all those who don't know out there like me, for right now, ECE, what does that stand for?
Electrical and computer engineering.
See, I knew that. I was just making sure you remembered, because Dota. No, okay, I totally blanked, I didn't know. So you have a ECE and you're doing programming, so you're just, so you can basically fix Valve servers, yes?
No. No, I did not do any stuff with. I actually have only once worked with like TCP/IP protocol stuff and very basically. But no, I would not do well with stuff involving servers. I work a lot on design stuff. I don't know. My job is generally pretty flexible. A lot of people these days hire people into software and they just want to make sure that you can do it all. So I will sometimes work on front end stuff like design the UI here and make sure it looks good and everything. And then other times it's like, oh, and now design our storage system or our security and stuff, which are very, very different when it comes to software. Like, and yeah, it's kind of like you do a bunch of different things, and they expect you to ramp up pretty quickly. So.
Okay, so you had the important task of making it look pretty and also making it work.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes, okay. But preferably, make it look pretty part is the part we all care about, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, like that's not a knock at all at the whole entire inventory system within Dota. But continuing on, moving on to the next question. So where'd you get the name LlamaDownUnder from? Like that's a very interesting name. Like why specifically Down Under? I mean, I'm assuming you're Australian, but I don't know yet.
Yeah, so I'm Australian. Okay, two stories there. I actually wanted to be Okapi, but nobody knows what Okapi are. Okapi are this really funny looking animal. I actually think they're pretty, like, beautiful animals, but they look like they're a cross between a zebra and an anteater, I guess, but they're actually the closest living relative of the giraffe. My sister is a biologist, so every time we go to the zoo, she will just, like, bust out all these facts, right? So I thought they were really cool, and I was calling myself Okapi for, like, a number of months, and none of my friends knew what it was, and they're like, what is this Okapi? And I'm just like, no, see, it's Okapi, it's this animal, and they're like, what is this? And finally one day, one of my friends is just like, can you just name yourself an animal so everyone knows? And so I went with llama, because, like, a lot of Americans know llama, and yeah, I'm Australian, and I haven't been in Australia for a while now. I actually have dual citizenship at this point. But,
what?
Yeah, I won the green card lottery. I'm incredibly good at the luck.
Holy crap! TSA let. Oh my gosh, TSA let you guys in. No, we're gonna get invaded. Oh no.
Then basically, I wanted to be like something. You know how a lot of people on Twitch, like, you want to make your name not too stuck to one thing. So I was like. I was like Llama Gaming and like Llama TV, and it's like all taken, everything with llamas. So I just was like, okay, let's make sure people know that I'm Australian. So LlamaDownUnder.
Which works out really well. I mean, I guess there's nothing more Australian than sounding down under. Like if you just say down under, like everybody say, oh, you're Australian. So what is there anything? I don't know. I can't think of anything more Australian than down under. I guess Marmite. Maybe that's one. Llama Marmite. Maybe.
Nah. But try to scare people away.
Good point. Alright, so moving on to the next question. Everybody has their own story as far as how they got into games, so how exactly did you get into video games in general? We're speaking strictly video games. We'll talk about other games later, but video games.
Oh, I mean, I think like most people, I played Pokemon when I was younger. I remember, so in Australia, we get things a little, well, back then we got things a little bit later than the rest of the world. So I think I was 7 when I got Pokemon Red. I actually wanted to play Pokemon Blue, but my parents, I have an older sister, and they did the standard, like, one of you always gets to choose, but it didn't alternate. It was just always my sister because she was older. I was like, this is the worst rule ever. And both of us, our favorite color was blue. So like she
Aw.
always chose the blue version of shit. And so I was like pretty cheesed. But yeah, I enjoyed Pokemon. And then when I got a bit older, I remember playing Diablo 2. And
Nice.
I didn't actually play too many multiplayer stuff until I went away to university. And I was very lucky. My university, I got a scholarship and they gave everybody laptops. And so I suddenly had a device where I could play online games and so on. And people would have LAN parties. You just bring my laptop and play.
And that's probably one of the better environments to actually get into games because it's a little bit more friendly. We'll talk,
Oh
okay,
my
we'll
gosh,
talk.
yeah, I did not, I thought everybody was nice, because like, it's university, and everybody's like, it's university, everybody still wants to keep their options open for maybe getting with other people, so like, everybody's
Right.
pretty nice, right?
It was like,
Everybody's
oh yeah, sure.
Like,
just
I would
spam
die
play.
a shit ton, because we started with like TF2, and I never played FPS, and I would just, or like worse, we'd play like Halo, and I'd have to use a controller, and I like never had used controller games except
Oh
for,
my
like,
gosh.
Final Fantasy, which doesn't matter how you use the controller. And so everybody's really nice. Like, you die 15 times and people are like, good effort, Llama. And I'm like, yeah, I did make a good effort. And then I like played online on a server one time and just like never went back, I remember. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I mean it's day and night. I mean,
Yeah.
okay. So let's go and get the elephant out of the room. You're a girl. You're on the internet. So why are you here on the internet? Just okay. The rudest question I can ask is that one. So let's go and get it out of there.
No, I mean, I honestly think if I hadn't had the introduction to video games that I had, I wouldn't do it. And sometimes with the stuff I get from casting, I question it myself. I'm like, what am I doing trying to get into a community that hates me? Like, worse than that, like, I have a girlfriend, so it's a double whammy,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like,
Wow.
I'm a
Yeah.
woman, and then I have a girlfriend, so I'm clearly evil. Like, I get some, like, awful shit said about me, and there are some days where I'm like, what am I doing trying to get into this? And it's really weird, because I love Dota, I love playing games in general. I don't know whether this is all going to work out, but I like to believe that even if it doesn't, I can make a positive difference.
Heck yeah.
And theoretically, like, real talk, it won't be enough for me. I want to make it in casting. But, like, if I look back on this, like, 50 years from now, and all I can say is that, like, I helped one person feel that it was okay for them to be on the internet, assuming that they're not actually Hitler, is good.
And then next thing you know, Mecha Hitler shows up. No.
Yeah, no, oh my gosh.
Oh,
I was
no.
just like, I don't know, have you played the new Fallout?
No, I have not. I have not. I've heard a lot of good things about it,
I'm
but
just saying. They say you're gonna do great things, and then suddenly you're Hitler. It's not good. It's not good.
there you go. Just show up. Okay. So I just want to get that question out of the way because it was. I mean, it. People can tell, kind of. It's I guess. There's no way for me to awkwardly back away from that one. So let's just awkwardly move to the next question. Or go back to the original question. So you got into video games by going to basically LAN parties when you were in university. So a few of the games that you played, you said Halo. You mentioned a few like Team Fortress 2. So were you pretty much straight up PC / occasional console, or were you just console?
100%. Okay, 100% PC. The only time, like, so. Okay, so I don't know if you've probably encountered this if you play games. You know how there's like the PC console wars, but like in my university it didn't happen too much, but there was a clear divide between there were people who would so you got those people who are good at everything, right? Like you got that guy who can like doesn't even need to look at the screen and he's killing everyone.
That's me. Thank you for your applause. Hold your applause. Hold your applause.
There's Poo-Blue, right? And then there's like there's that person who, if your friends are playing, you play. And that's kind of how I was about console, because I wasn't huge into the Halo. Like, I wasn't very good at it. Everybody else had played Halo all through high school, or like Smash all through high school, and I was just like, what is this? But then with the PC games, I really liked it, because I felt it was a lot easier to get better at, because I could play it, it was just, I don't know, I found it a lot easier to use a keyboard and mouse.
More inviting, more intuitive, I guess. Well, actually,
but we definitely had
intuitive.
like PC gods who, when we had the LAN parties, they would like bring in their whole rig and become like a fire code issue because they had like such a big computer, and we'd have to like check if our cables were surge protected and shit. And then like you had the people who would be like, wait, that's your PC and stuff, and be like talking up their console. So yeah, we definitely had that type of thing. But I was much more PC than anything else.
There you go. Yeah, PC Master Race. Hell yeah. All right. So that's good. That's good. That's good that you're on the PC side. I just quick spurt. I was on both sides, console and PC. I was actually console for the most early part of my life, but then PC happened later. So, I do agree PC games are way better, and that's a really, it's a more friendly introduction because the internet. I mean, I could get by because, well, it's my voice, but we'll talk more about this later. Jeez, these keep bringing up these touchy subjects. Jesus, Llama, why? All right. So let's go move into the next question. How did you get into casting? And this kind of bleeds into what you were talking about before. And we're gonna get a lot of talk about community in a second. But how did you get into casting? Like what brought you into casting, specifically Dota?
So since I live in Seattle, I've been lucky enough to be able to attend TI4 and TI5. And TI4 was just like a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And then after TI5, I remember it was in the middle of one of ODPixel's casts. I was just like, so I'm not a terribly emotional. I'm not a terribly emotive person, I guess is the right way to say it. You know how like some people on the roller coaster, they're screaming their heads off? I'm that person who's just kind of sitting there with a bit of a smile on my face. Or maybe not a smile, because like it's a roller coaster, so it's like your face is all stretched. But
right.
I just don't often outwardly be super loud. And then I'm at TI, and we're in some game that ODPixel's casting, or somebody's casting. I can't even remember. But it's just like, with the atmosphere and everything, you're sitting in Key Arena, and it's just like some good normal plays. There's like a good RP or something, and you're just feeling it so much. You're like almost to tears, and you're just like, wait, I don't cry when Bambi died, like Bambi's mom died. Like, what the shit is this?
Whoa.
And like I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, holy shit, this is what I want. Everybody else, I want to find a way that I can share with other people how much I love Dota. Like I want. Because a lot of people still think video games are a joke. Like, when I took time off work, obviously, to do it, because it was like a whole week affair. I, like, took vacation time to go to TI both times. And one of my coworkers was like, oh, that's cool, are you going to EVO? Because that's the only other big tournament he knew. But the rest of them were like, what, really? You're taking time off for a video game thing? I was just like, no, it's really cool. And I just wanted to share that with everyone. And I really want everyone to know, like, how much joy Dota gives me, and how much joy Dota gives a lot of people, and how awesome it is. And that's like, I wasn't sure what to do community-wise, and just jumped into casting, and now we're here.
Okay, awesome. And this is where things are getting a little touchy. So I'm gonna try to word my words very carefully, because I need to make sure I say this right, so that way the internet doesn't like slaughter anybody. Okay. Hey man, this is kind of funny. Lambs to the slaughter. Holy crap. Sorry, my bad. Bad analogy. Walk away, Cool Blue. But moving on to the things, you mentioned community a few times, and you were saying you're not sure how the community is going to react to you wanting to be involved. So.
Oh, it was more okay.
Go
With
ahead,
that one, it was like I wasn't sure, because you know how there are a bunch of different options. If you love Dota, you can make like funny little videos, like Slacks makes excellent videos, or you can do cosplay and stuff. And I was trying to find what felt right for me, and it just happened to be casting, because I tried a couple things, and that's the one that felt like the best fit.
Okay. So casting became the thing that you want to go into. So one question that I really want to go into now, I think would be a better transition, is this the question of like your entry into casting, because I personal history for myself, so I wasn't paying attention to the scene for a while. There was like literally an 8-month period where I just didn't do anything Dota-wise, but then I come back and there's new casters and people are doing this and this person's over there, they're casting JDL now and blah. So things were changing, so I missed the whole entire gap, so I didn't see your bring up, so to speak. So from your start to your part where you actually got to the big games, so to speak, that everybody likes to call it out, was it a smooth transition or was it a really fast transition? Because I'm just really curious on how your growth went from starting from I want to do this to I'm actually doing this.
So I started out, I actually used to play in this thing called the Redditors Dota 2 League, and I remember that they were always asking for casters, so I asked them if I could cast some matches, like right after TI. Pretty much like the week after TI was done, I asked if I can cast some matches, and they were like, sure. I actually had to play out my games because I was in the league. And then started casting, and I casted some matches, and I had a lot of fun. And then I started looking for more stuff to cast. So I was casting that, and then I found out about JDL and started casting JDL. And there's also like the Amateur Dota 2 League, and was casting that. And I was just trying to cast as much as possible. And then for me, the like I guess the chance when I got to work with some of the bigger names, because I still don't view it as having made it or anything.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Casting is very, people don't realize this, but until you're attending LANs, you're nobody. And even when you're attending LANs, there are people right now who work LANs, have worked LANs in our Dota community, but still have other jobs because it just doesn't support you enough. But that's a sadder other topic about how various people are valued in, I guess, society or the scene. But anyway, I remember Lyrical Gangster was casting on BTS, and I saw it. He got a Reddit thread, and in the thread, God said, he posts and he says, "We're always looking for new talent. We try to keep an eye out for it. We love letting new people cast on our channels." And I emailed him on Reddit, Twitter, Facebook,
Good lord.
BTS's YouTube channel. I Googled his name to find out if there was a personal email floating around there. I emailed through the BTS website. I'm a little persistent, as you might be able to tell.
Yeah.
And after doing that about 14 times, I got a reply back. And yeah, they had games they needed covered. So that's kind of how it went for me. I, of course, included videos that I thought were good. I've looked back on those videos. They were awful. I still haven't got to improve on. I'm hopeful that they won't one day wake up and decide, oh yeah, wait, she kind of does suck. But yeah, I get to work with them now some. I also contract with Join Dota, and I just try to pick up any games I can because with typecasting, which is the role I find myself in, you just need a lot of practice. Like probably tonight, because I have a kind of day off because of this and another podcast a friend asked me for, I can't really stream today. I am gonna watch through some of my VODs because I'm really trying to work on hyping.
Ah, oh, good point. Good
But
point.
yeah, that's kind of how it happened, and I think a lot of people like to have different reasons for why they believe people have succeeded in the scene or haven't succeeded in the scene.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's so much luck involved in this. BTS had a lot of games they couldn't cover with just their 3 people, and so they needed help. If they didn't need help, like if this were a year ago when there maybe weren't as many games at the time, I probably wouldn't have gotten anything despite like emailing them a million times. I think a lot of people try to make it about various other things.
Yes, which we're actually going to discuss. Those are going to be some of the questions we're going to bring up. So we're going to be talking about those. So
do we want to transition into it? Like
not yet. I want a little bit more lightheartedness first, and then we'll go into the serious stuff.
And so I think like there's just a lot of luck involved in this. And honestly, if I do end up quote making it, I will definitely say, yeah, I worked hard, but also got incredibly lucky, guys.
Yeah, there you go. And it's definitely a game of more or less it still boils down to who you know, because like if you know the right people, then you're good. But in your specific case, it's basically about what you actually did, which you were the one who was persistent. You were the one who actually put yourself out there.
And it's the same with Lyrical. I don't know. I don't know if I have the entire story here, but my understanding of what happened with Lyrical is during TI5, he costed a lot of the qualifiers for TI5.
Yeah.
And then he sent the videos to BTS, and they were like, yeah, next time we need some outside contractors, we'll hit you up. And like that is just, he costed videos. I shouldn't say nobody was watching, I'm assuming that, but like most likely nobody was watching, nobody was viewing those things. He probably had like an audience of 5 maybe, and he just kept doing it because persistence, I'm not going to say it pays off because as I said, there's a huge luck factor, but it certainly increases your chances.
Yes, it most definitely does. And just a few other things to bring up. I mean, I have a whole entire more background. If you guys ever go back and watch any of the interviews, I always bring this up because for some reason I love talking about the community. I think we can do better, but that's just my personal opinion. But one thing I always brought up was Purge's video on how to become a caster. That's one of the things that got me started personally as a caster. And one of the things that he mentioned super heavily was that casting is a lot of work. And if you want to be a caster, you got to actually do a cast. He says he received a lot of messages all the time. People saying, hey, Purge, let's co-cast. And it's like, okay, what have you casted? And they have casted nothing. So the fact that you're saying that you actually went out there, you casted, or the fact that Lyrical went out there and casted the games and said, hey, here's my profile, here's my portfolio, and sent it out to the right people, or sent it out to the people in general to let them look at it, that's the reason why he's made it. And I think a lot of people, specifically newer casters, and I say specifically because I'm still in that boat, but I know what the problem is and I'm working on that, and I'm trying to tell other people so they can stop complaining, is that you got to put yourself out there, and you put yourself out there in a very well, okay, not necessarily luck of the draw, but would you say more of a the planets aligning type thing for you?
I think, yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a good quote. I'm going to paraphrase it, phrase it horribly, where it's like, good fortune is where luck meets hard work or something. Or luck is where hard work meets preparation. I can't remember exactly what it is, but the gist of it's meant to be that if essentially by working hard, you just increase your odds that something good will happen.
Yeah,
And
yeah, definitely.
that's kind of what happened here. I was casting a lot back then. I actually still try to cast a lot. I'm doing a little bit less, but when I started out with like JDL and so on, I was casting 4 or 5 JDL best of twos a day if I could find them.
Oh,
Right?
that's so bad.
Yeah, and it's hard, and you just I was doing a lot because every cast, some casts you have 5 viewers, but then you get that cast, maybe there's some really popular tier 2 teams, and suddenly you have 300-400 viewers.
Right.
They're all giving you feedback, and it's helpful.
And those are the times that we all relish for. All right, so let's go and move over. So positive stuff, we've spoken that. We're going to be touching and going on a lot of different topics, but I'm going to try to make this as smooth of a transition as possible. So we're going to get into more of the controversial type things. So I'm going to first go ahead and start by saying that Yamin, which is another caster, we had an interview, I think 2 interviews ago, interview number 25, and one of the things that he brought up was that the speed of casters, or one of the things I brought up was the speed of a caster coming to the scene, because people like Yamin, people like me may have been casting for a while, but notoriety is a hard thing to gain, and it's more about the notoriety than anything else. So one thing that we brought up as a comparison is we used your name actually, and we also compared it to OD Pixel, where we were saying like you basically showed up to the scene and 3 months later, boom, you're casting the big game, so to speak, and we can define big games in a second. And then OD Pixel, somebody who's been casting for roughly a year before he actually hit his stride, so to speak.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. So basically a slow burn versus a quick rise. And one thing that I always try to make sure I see both sides of things before I say things, but I did make the specific statement that when people get thrown into the scene like yourself, you kind of open yourself up to the criticism being super like harsh and super razor sharp, where people are just wailing into you, say, oh, you don't know this, you don't know that. Whereas people like OD Pixel, I mean, he took him forever to get there, and when he finally got there, people said, oh, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about, let's put him up there. So I just want to know, I want to give you all this context to actually finally the question of from your perspective, do you think being able to grow yourself into the scene versus getting so to speak thrown straight into it has more benefits, or would you prefer to keep it the way it is? Like would you, I don't know, let me word this better. Would you rather have taken a while to get to where you are now, or would you rather have it just keep it the way it is?
I don't think it matters. Like, you don't get to choose. A lot of people think that you can kind of control how these things go, but you don't really get to choose at all. I don't know how much you've read on OD Pixel's interviews, but he did one with Red Bull, I think, where he was talking about how he was almost going to quit when he got the 2-hour game. And you don't get to choose that, right? And you're saying that a lot of people, they loved OD Pixel. They actually didn't. OD Pixel got heaps of flame when he came onto the scene, and people still say that he doesn't know anything, right? He just also has a lot of support, and you don't really, everybody is going to receive bad backlash. I won't deny that I think some people receive more backlash about certain things than others, but you're always going to get people who hate you for no real reason, and it sucks, but that's kind of life. The other thing I think that's important to mention, as I said, you don't get to choose what you get when it comes to that, so I think worrying about it is kind of like not important.
Not important? Okay.
Yeah, for me, what I try to think about is I try to think about improving every day and making progress. And if for a long period of time I'm not making progress, I'm going to sit down and evaluate, hey, do I know why that is? What do I need to change? Is this something I should still be doing if I'm having so much trouble progressing? And that's about how I think about it.
Okay, so basically just trying to improve yourself, keep moving forward, and always questioning yourself, saying, am I actually getting better? Am I improving here? Like you said, you're going to review some videos later on, so just trying to build yourself up as opposed to letting what everybody says bring you down.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And I actually really, on that, I think I've talked about this to a bunch of people before, but I don't read Reddit or Twitch chat. I don't read Reddit or Twitch chat while casting. I don't read Reddit after cast if they're a larger game, because I mean, people are just going to say horrible things, and I usually have, since I have some people I trust, they will check it out. If there's any good feedback that they think I might want to see, they'll point it out to me, like link me directly to it. But otherwise, I try not to listen to those super negative avenues because, you know, there are also people. This always astounds me. I have like people who I will see spam in Twitch chat like horrible things.
Yes,
And then they're like,
I actually saw it when you were casting. I was like, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, this is
Yeah,
actually kind of bad. And like one person was doing it. I was like, really? Okay.
yeah. That's always actually makes me really happy when it's just one person because I add people to my ignore list. Because you have to watch the last 2 minutes of the game because you have to make sure that everything closed out well on the stream.
Yeah.
So you have to watch on the delay. And I actually I just add people to my ignore list, and I'm always happy when I see someone's like saying something horrible and they're already on my ignore list because it's like it's not a new person.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, because I'll see people spam things and I'm like, that's terrible. Why would you spam that? And then they're like regulars on my stream who say nice things. And I'm just like, what the shit?
Wow.
So yeah, I think some people just enjoy spamming, and it's Twitch chat, so they spam. It's nothing personal about anyone. Regardless of what the copy pasta is of the day, they will post it.
Okay, so see that puts a totally different spin on it because
yeah.
because you know
When I realized that, I was like, what the shit?
My perspective of the community is like, you know, you have your white knights and you have your black knights and you have people who are kind of in the middle, just doing whatever the heck they want. The anarchists, if you will. And the white knights are always going to be there trying to say, oh, llama this, llama that, or oh, llama's good at this, or maybe she can improve on that. The people giving you that stuff you should listen to. And then you have the black knights on the other side, just, well, I don't know. I'm not going to explain. I'm not going to bother explaining that. But some people who say really bad things that they wouldn't say in real life to your face. Let's put it that way. And actually, some people who actually might, but let's not talk about them. And then you got the people in the middle who kind of just follow the trends. Like I see it happen many times when you have a cast with 2,000 people. You can't really control it. I mean, you try to say something intelligent. Good luck. It's going to get thrown away in like 2 seconds. And then like you start seeing like the hive mind Twitch come in, or hive mind in general come in, where somebody starts saying something, other people repeat it, then other people repeat it. And a lot of times for your perspective, you have a few different things going on for you. One, people are very expressive about their hate. Also, people like to, for some reason, think, oh my gosh, girl, or grill, as I like to call it. And then they just start posting the worst things in the world, and it starts getting perpetuated in the chat. So,
I think a lot of people are hoping for some kind of reaction there. It's kind of silly. I actually, yeah, Twitch isn't always great for that, but generally when I cast out of my own channel, I see none of this. As I said, I don't read the Twitch chat when I'm casting. I don't see any point in that.
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of the things that people, I would say the backlash I've received from casting is less than I expected.
Oh,
I was expecting things to be a lot worse because already, like, I used to play a lot of solo rank. And yeah, I would say there were definitely worse things going on in the shit that people say in solo ranked. So it's still pretty shitty. Like, I'm not going to deny that I would love it if things would change, but it doesn't, I wouldn't say it doesn't bother me less, but it's like not as, I used to, I don't know. I don't worry too much about Twitch chat anymore.
Don't worry about it too much. Okay, all right, that's good. That's good. All right, so we will probably end up mentioning Twitch chat again, but it's not specifically Twitch chat. It's just other venues as well. But Twitch chat's the easiest one to talk about, so that's why we're mentioning it. So for anybody out there getting ready to type in your comments, just relax. Jeez, we're just talking about the community. Oh god, I kicked the hive. Oh no, they're gonna attack. So moving on to the next few parts, we have the question of how was your casting experience, or how has your casting experience been so far? You kind of touched on it a little bit, but just like your generic answer, how has your casting experience been so far, you know, altogether?
I really enjoy it. I personally think I've had a lot more success than I was expecting. I'm very happy with my progress. Obviously, one always wants more, but I'm happy with it. I sometimes get worried because I'm like, I don't think I'm improving, blah, blah, blah. What am I doing? And I think most casters have this issue, but you worry on the day-to-day, like, what will I be casting? What if this people I know who normally hand me out casts don't have anything for a month? And then what am I going to be doing with myself casting-wise? But other than that, I'm pretty dang happy with it. I really enjoy casting. I have a lot of fun doing it. I hope I get feedback that there are people who enjoy what I do. I hope lots of people enjoy what I do, but I have a lot of fun with it. And so I personally really enjoy it.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the quick response section, and then some more slightly depressing questions, and then we'll get some more stuff, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so the quick response section is a very important section. It's very complicated. Do you need an explanation of how it works?
I'm guessing you just want short answers?
No. See, that's all wrong. So what happens is I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to respond with a short answer, okay?
Okay.
All right, you got it. It's a lot of rules. It's so much going on. You got it. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Favorite hero.
Silencer.
Favorite courier.
The llama courier.
Favorite team.
Maybe OG. It's a hard one, and I don't super do team alliance like alliances, you know.
All right. Favorite caster.
OD Pixel.
Favorite event.
Oh, TI.
Favorite book.
Oh, that's a hard one.
There it is.
Okay. Oh, shit. Off the top of my head,
Yep.
a lot of good books. Best thing I've read recently: Auxiliary Justice and Auxiliary Sword, which I pronounce wrong. Ancillary. Yeah. And Lecky books. Good sci-fi. Really good sci-fi.
All right. Favorite color.
Blue.
Favorite show.
Why? That's not an easy one either. Oh,
Come on. Short answer. Short answer. We got this.
Matlock.
Favorite movie.
Oh.
It's getting
Okay,
worse.
I can do this. I can do this. Holy shit! Favorite movie? I guess the first Matrix.
Okay, and last but not least, the most important question. Favorite number.
4.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's anticlimactic. Okay.
I can do that one easily. Oh. 4 is like a perfect number. It's great.
Oh, 13's a way better number.
Oh no, 4 is like beautiful all around. It's great.
Yeah, fine, whatever. All right, so you and your 4 numbers. But your favorite color is blue. My favorite color is blue too, so high five.
Good color. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Best color in the world. Suck it, internet. Sorry. Moving back into the questions. Okay, so now we're going to go back into the questions. We're going to talk about a few more touchy topics, things that I want to make sure that I talk with you about, because I want to see your perspective, and I want the world to know your perspective officially for now. So, I mentioned the interview that I had with Yaman a little while ago, and one thing that we mentioned, we were just talking about criticisms or critiques that people get. And, actually, no. Yeah, fine, we'll talk about that. We're talking about criticism and critiques. We touched on this a little bit, but just in general, how do you tackle critiques? Because what some people say, what some people have said in the past is they kind of just take the good stuff and just kind of filter throughout the bad stuff. But for you, it sounds like you let your friends or you let your trusted, esteemed people filter it for you.
So there are two things. Red Eye has a really good blog on this, but I basically I actually actively seek out critique. I encourage people after every course to send me what they felt did and didn't work. I think that's really helpful. The only caveat, of course, is what maybe people don't realize is just because you said you liked or disliked something doesn't mean I'm going to change it. Emphasize it, de-emphasize it. It's still up to me to decide what I like, obviously, as the caster. And the other big important thing to me as well is I really try to ignore things that are not constructive critiques. There are people who are just going to type to you, "This sucked balls." That doesn't help anyone, right?
Yeah.
That's not productive in the slightest. So I generally ignore those types of comments. And it's the same as ignoring comments which are like, "Oh, this was awesome." That's great. It's good positive reinforcement, but it doesn't quite tell you what was good about it.
Right.
So I kind of just filter through those ones and then really go for stuff that goes into kind of the meat of it. And then Red Eye had another good comment he talked about where he says that he only trusts other professionals that he respects. I'm not quite that far, but I definitely, when I've gotten advice from LD or someone, I will take that. It's more heavily weighted than a random comment on Reddit.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And actually, Yaman brought this up too. So I keep mentioning Yaman because we specifically talked about you critiques, and he actually mentioned the same exact point you mentioned, was that you get the good stuff. Sometimes you get the really frilly, like, "Hey, good job." It's like, okay, good job on what? Like, what did I do well? Did you like this? Did you like that? And other times you get the other ones that say, "Cool Blue, you're horrible. Like, uninstall." It's like, okay, that doesn't help me. So one of the things that he brought up was that the perspective that at the top they had the same problem as some people at the bottom who don't really have anybody watching the videos. Where at the top, you have so many people watching videos that you get so much stuff that you just don't really know who to trust. So you have to go to your other people who are beside you. And it's perfect that you mentioned that, if you ever get a critique from somebody like LD or guys, you're like, "Hey, that's a good idea. Let me try to investigate that one. And let me try to improve on that." Whereas if somebody like, Mad Kings, who's another caster, somebody like Mad Kings that says, "Hey, Llama, maybe if you change your picture it would be better," you would just say,
I actually really listen to other casters over other people because I think other casters think about similar things. But I meant more of like, I don't You know, if you're some random person out of the blue who sends me something and you've got kind of no credentials to your name, I'm
Right,
going to
right.
take it with a grain of salt.
Ah, got it. So that's the more perspective that you're having. Okay. Right. So I totally read that wrong. My bad.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really like listening to other casters' opinions, and of course, you do have to take it with a grain of salt because there's also interesting caster politics that sometimes come up.
Oh
But
God, yeah.
I generally, you know, as I said, you gather people that you trust, and you try to make it work. So.
Try to make it work. And just to bring up another thing, another side thing. So I was reading Total Biscuit's Death by a Thousand Cuts because I felt like that'll be relevant to our conversation right now. And I was also reading a few comments because I just did a quick search on your name in Reddit. There's a lot of things about you, but you probably already know that. But one of the things I would mention between those two articles, I forgot who mentioned it, but it's like I think Total Biscuit talked about it, and then it got reflected pretty well inside of some of the comments that some discussion people were having about you in the positive light. That is, was that the internet kind of devalues the critic a lot because everybody thinks they're a critic, and because everybody thinks they're a critic, they're just kind of like saying whatever the hell they want, and they're not really thinking about what a critic actually does, which he actually takes some constructiveness and tries to build in, like say, hey, this is what I think. This is the way you might be able to improve. Maybe it would be better if you did this. Whereas the internet just kind of like, oh, I'm a critic, so I can control your content. I watch your stuff. I support you. I pay your bills. So I'm going to tell you, hey, change your profile picture because it's horrible. Like stuff like that. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up here is because like from that whole entire point is very relevant to what you're saying, or very relevant to what we're talking about. Because hold on. When the people get in and start criticizing the crap out of you, like does that ever make you freak out, or do you just try to brush it off and just keep going?
I mean, I think the comments when people send me that they're gonna like kill me and rape my girlfriend make me much more upset than any sort of critique. Yeah, I get that one a lot. Yeah, it's pretty messed up. That stuff makes me more upset than like, oh, I did not enjoy your casting today. I think this is why. I don't worry about that, but I think more of what part of, I imagine, what else Total Biscuit is talking about is the entitlement of people who enjoy your content. That's really common. I've even had, I mean, so I recently got partnered on Twitch, and I had somebody sub who at the time I had viewed as someone who I thought was a friend. They know some other people in the scene, and so I was like, okay, this person seems trustworthy. And they got really weird after they subbed and did the old, I will withdraw my support if you don't do X, Y, and Z, or like change how you act in ways.
Wow.
And I was just like, bro, you're giving like you're first of all, you're giving me like $250 a month. I'm not putting up with this shit.
Right.
Like, and even if you were giving me like $1,000 a month, I don't think I would put up with this shit. Like, it's not. That's not the type of person I am. And I think that's more what Total Biscuit was having issues with, because he does.
Got it. Okay.
Like, there are people who don't understand, and not that they should have to, right? If I'm looking at a painting, is it necessary that I understand all the effort that went into it? But at the same time, it can get frustrating as a caster or as a personality when people, you know, something goes wrong. Maybe you say the wrong name of a player, like Toby did that today in the Empire Na'vi series. He accidentally said Mind Control instead of Havost, who was offlaning.
Oh, okay.
And there are probably people who are like, oh, Toby, he doesn't work hard enough, getting the name mixed up. It happens. These things happen randomly sometimes. And the fact that sometimes people will build it up into a really big thing, one of your mistakes, that can be really frustrating.
Yeah, it gets blown out of proportion. And the whole entitlement perspective, I didn't consider that perspective, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, there are a lot of people who, and it kind of goes back to the point you mentioned earlier, where it's like actually one person watching your videos is like, what, 8 cents or something? Watching 1,000 of your videos is actually like 8 cents. Like, I'm not saying viewers aren't worth it. Obviously, these are the people. Like, one of my goals is to share my joy of Dota with everyone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I am human. And it's like, just because someone isn't doing what you want, remember that there are other people who are watching, or remember that they are just one human. They're not there just for your entertainment, etc.
Correct. I mean, you have your morals, and you also have your limit, and people seem to forget that. Yeah, and that's very common with just the internet in general, not just the Dota 2 community. But anyway, so yeah, that was slightly depressing. Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about before we get on to the last few questions. is another conversation that was brought up in a few different interviews. We were talking about caster diversity, and one thing that I specifically said, and I used you as an example, because, keep in mind, my whole entire preference was like 8 months not casting, so I wasn't in the scene, wasn't involved in the scene. Back then, Shiva was still casting. She's not casting anymore. Now that, as I understand it, she's not casting anymore. I don't know if that's 100% true, though, so don't kill me, internet. Anyway, so one of the statements that I made was that, people complain all the time. It's like, oh my gosh, we need more casters. We need caster diversity. I'm tired of listening to Toby. I'm tired of listening to LD. And I made the perfect point, or I think I made the perfect point. I liked my point. It was pretty cool. I made the point of, you think about sometimes where you say, I want more diversity in casting, and then you say, okay, I'm going to diversify today. I'm going to go, instead of watching Beyond the Summit today, I'm going to go watch Join Dota, and then you go watch Toby and Capitalist, and like, that's your diversity. So a lot of people have the problem where they try to diversify within like the big popular names, and the question I want to pose to you is like, what effect do you think that has on, in general, casting? Because from my perspective, I don't think people invest enough into like take the risk to go watch the other no-name caster they never heard about. But from your perspective, what do you think that has on the casting scene in general? Like, is it affecting it? Is it not affecting it? Is it a big deal? Should we worry about it more? Should we worry about it less? Just your general idea.
I'm always a fan of making the scene more accessible to more people. I don't see why any reasonable person would ever say, I don't want more people to love what I love. But when it comes to diversity, I understand that there are a number of things going on which can make it difficult to support from a financial perspective of the tournament. So let's say you're running a tournament. Let's talk just about LAN. Even right now, when it comes to LANs, we have more qualified people than there are spots at LANs. And you see this with stuff like at the Frankfurt Major, where Gods and Winter didn't get invited, despite I would say Winter's very qualified for that. Gods also very qualified, right? There are people that you can make arguments about, oh, maybe Gods could have been replaced by a different play-by-play. Maybe Winter can be replaced by another analyst. But I think most people would say, hey, they're definitely qualified. Yeah. But there are enough casters in the scene right now that it doesn't maybe make sense. And then you also have to look at the financial perspective where, yes, it's great. A lot of us think of esports events as a big LAN we all get to attend and have fun. But for ESL, they need to report to their sponsors. They need to make a profit. They have to pay for everything. And hiring someone out of the blue is really difficult to do, and then have your event, like, you don't know. It's a potential, will this go well? Will my event be unsuccessful or not? With OD Pixel, he got hired for events because Dream League was willing to take the chance, which they can do based on having the way that they run things. And also he had huge popularity behind him. He had everybody loving him at the time. It wasn't like I don't think that it was in their mind that he might bomb. And so it was very easy to take that risk. For anybody else who's trying to enter the scene, like, it's just really hard, I think, to justify that. Even with people you see like Mott, who's attended some events, maybe hasn't attended one in a while now. Right. It's just difficult for them to say, look, we know Toby and LD bring in so many viewers. I think they both have over 100,000 followers on Twitter or something. They know, you know that they're going to bring in viewership for sure. Why would you pick somebody else over them? And I think from a financial perspective, it definitely sucks, but that's what these LANs do need to answer to. From a diversity perspective, I think it was really cool that the BTS house, because the BTS guys for the Shanghai qualifiers invited me, Blaze, and Lyrical out, people who really haven't attended events in a casting capacity ever before, to my knowledge. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, folks out there. But it's really cool that they were able to do that. And the reason they were able to do that is, honestly, I'm pretty sure I was invited, probably Lyrical also, because we live on the West Coast and that's near where BTS is. Blaze and the BTS guys know each other well. He's a bit further away, but like they knew he could come out. And for them, it's like they knew they could answer to their sponsors and have it all be a fun event regardless, I have to imagine. Like, even if one of us did for some reason bomb. And so, like, it just, it wasn't a high-risk thing. So they were able to do it. And hopefully there'll be more and more of these smaller things going on where it doesn't have to be super high risk and then more people can get into the scene. Then the other problem, though, I think is it's very difficult to get into our scene, and I don't know whether that is a good or a bad thing. There are a lot of people who, I mean, I'm not saying these people are bad by any means, but when we look at a lot of the people who are in our scene, they've been established for a long time. Toby was casting Dota 1. Purge made a huge effort to be a known name when Dota 2 rolled out by making all those videos. I'm pretty sure he knew that was coming. He made a concerted effort. Like, I think the guy's very smart. Then you've got Blitz, who's been in the Dota scene for a long time. Even people like Chobra. He was, I believe, I could be wrong on this one, but I believe Chobra was Zephyr's manager back in the day. Like, there are just a lot of people who have been in this for a long time. And so I think it's difficult if you're someone newer to break in. I don't know if that's good or bad. A part of me, because of where I am, is like, oh, shucks, sucks. I would love to be able to break in better. But also, I do like to believe that if I can improve my casting to the level where it needs to be to cast a LAN, someone will notice. And I'll get somewhere.
Okay.
With luck.
Right, and just to quickly summarize, because I just want to make sure I got all that correctly, and that we have correct context, internet, jeez. So initially you were saying that basically big LAN events, like super huge LAN events, like we literally invested $500,000, like I can't even count that high, but we literally invested $500,000 in a venue, an event. We need to make a profit for our sponsors. So in those cases, they basically cannot necessarily afford to take as many risks when it comes to casting, because they know that they need to hire a person who's going to be guaranteed to bring in this many people. And if they hire somebody like, let's say they hire Mad Kings. If they hire Mad Kings, nobody knows who okay, somebody might know who Mad Kings is. You know, Mad Kings know who Mad Kings is. I know who he is. But somebody who nobody knows about community-wide, it gets invited, and everybody's like, who the hell is this? And then all of a sudden, the flame war started on Reddit. Everybody starts calling the event a piece of trash, and nobody watches it. And then that's going to be a huge financial risk. So you're saying that at a huge LAN event, they basically can't afford to take that type of risk, and that many people don't think about it that way? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think a lot of people who kind of blindly say it forget about the business aspect of this. It's actually the core of a lot of problems in my mind, where people are like, why isn't the world like X? And it's like, well, money.
Money.
I'm not saying they couldn't do it. I think it's just a risk that a lot of businesses aren't necessarily willing to take, and that's understandable.
Okay. And moving on to the second thing you just mentioned, which is small LAN events. They're perfect because they can't afford to take a huge risk, but they can afford to say, hey, you live like right down the street, sure, whatever, just come to the house, have a cast with us, see how it works. And they can help people get exposure because they're big in the sense that they're big on the internet, but LAN event wise, they're just like a little tiny operation, maybe about $1,000 at worst. Okay, probably more than that, but a low amount of money relative to like the super huge LAN event, and that those are good for the scene because they can allow casters a way in without having to risk a lot.
I don't know whether it's good or bad for the scene. I'm not going to overarch and say that I kind of understand what's good and bad for the scene. I don't know if casters actually have a huge amount of impact on the scene versus the meta and so on. But I think it certainly helps. It makes it easier for new people to get in. I think another good example is Odipixel actually had a lot of LAN experience before getting picked up big time because he was doing a lot of LANs in England. So there's actually a really cool Red Bull interview series with him where they interviewed him after his like first small LAN, and then at like Dream League, and then at TI. And it was pretty interesting. But yeah, I think that does help get people into the scene. So.
Okay, and the very last point, just to summarize the whole thing, was that wow, I wrote down new names. I don't know what the hell that was supposed to mean. Yeah, I don't remember what the last point was. You made a really good last point. I was agreeing with it. I just forgot what it was.
No, I think it's just I think it's difficult in general to break, and I mean it's difficult to break into anything. That's another thing.
Breaking into the scene is hard. That's what you're saying. So breaking into the scene is hard in general, and people don't like to acknowledge that it's actually difficult. And I think that's where you were going with that.
Kind of. I think it's just a lot of people forget that life is hard. I think comparing it to acting is pretty damn accurate. Like, it's a lot of luck, and you're probably going to be waiting tables for a long time. Yeah.
But I'll be damned if I don't wait those tables with good grammar and good posture. No, stop. Okay. All right. So that's it for those questions. So let's go ahead and move on to the last few ones. So what are some of the what are some of the pros and cons about the community? Just very generic pros and cons that you think about the community.
I really like how excited, I mean, this is true for video games, and I'm sure it's true for all communities, but I love how creative our communities are. Like, cosplay always astounds me. A lot of the people I've actually met or talked to, like, met through Skype and so on, because I haven't actually been to many events other than TI, and that was before I was casting. Everybody's been really friendly that I've met through, like, Skype contacts and so on. Everybody's been very willing to offer help. As I said, I do feel like I'm always trying to expand it and remember that I have this, but I do have a network of people that I ask for help with stuff and be like, hey, I would
Hmm.
love to have feedback on the casting from you because I trust you and so on, and they are willing to give it. So I think that's really nice about our community. I
Nice.
also, yeah,
Hmm.
and I also do like how we do have some people in our community who are willing to stand up for what they believe in, even like
Hmm.
I like there's some bad stuff. I mean, right now I think what 2 days yesterday the secret drama dropped. I don't know if you're caught up on that.
Nope, I am not caught up on that at all.
Yeah, but like there's sometimes still very bad things, but it does look like we're t trending in a better direction.
Okay, so overall, better direction for right now. Yeah, we're just going back and forth.
Yeah.
So 2.5 steps forward and then 2 steps back, right?
I don't know if we're. I think it's more like we're making small steps forwards.
Okay, just in general, so 1.5 step forward every other month.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll go with that. All right, so moving on to the next fun questions. Aside from playing Dota, what do you do for fun?
I generally really like eating and cooking. I bake over cooking because I actually find baking to be a lot easier than cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like, I try to have potlucks with my friends a lot and stuff like that. We get together and cook. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
I also obviously play a variety of games, and when summer around here, because Seattle's a wonderful area for going hiking and so on, there's
Mm-hmm.
just a lot of really accessible hikes in like within half an hour from the city.
Oh, nice, nice. So just a quick question because I actually don't know the answer to this. What's the difference between baking and cooking? I know. Well, actually, I
Oh,
don't know.
well, no, so it's just like mostly when people think baking, they think desserts. You can make savory things, which I do sometimes, but for me, okay, so here's the real issue.
Mm-hmm.
When I bake, I follow the recipe. Because baking is freaking chemistry.
Uh
Like,
huh.
it's literally just chemistry a lot of the time. But for some reason, when I cook, because of the way I was raised, I just, like, look at the recipe and then kind of do my own thing. And then it always, inevitably, I dick it up. Like, because I'm not following the recipe. But the problem is because it's so ingrained in my mind, like I know baking is chemistry. I can
Mm-hmm.
look at the ingredients and I'm like, oh yeah, like if I change these ratios, shit's gonna get messed up. But then you like you look at like a cooking recipe and I'm like, nah, I can totally add more sauce or whatever. No. So I just have a lot of trouble with it for some reason. And I know this. So like sometimes I'll be really strict with myself and really follow the recipe when I'm cooking, but a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the time I just kind of do something where I'll be like, "Oh, I don't have no eggs. Let me use egg substitute because like I
No.
know a bunch of like
Yeah.
fixes, and it's always shit."
No, no. Hey. Fun fact. Fun fact. I actually made macaroni and cheese with chocolate milk. It didn't work out,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
tried. I tried. Damn it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just for some reason with baking, I never do that. With baking, I just follow the recipe and we're good. And then with cooking, I just always am like, yeah, this will work. It never does.
And you know, we can actually make this analogy too. So if anybody remembers, like in the very beginning, when we were talking about the different type of games you like to play, baking is kind of like the Final Fantasy, where it's like turn-based, and cooking is like the action, fast-paced Halo-like game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also, I think, a lot more places you can make mistakes in cooking. Like baking, you do the baking part and then you stick it in the oven and you're good. Yes, there's some cake decorating stuff, but cake decorating's all like easy anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But there aren't too many bakes where there's a lot of different, like once you've got it in the oven,
Mm-hmm.
you're either good or you're bad. Depending on what you're making, sometimes there's some more complicated like rise steps. I've made a couple of different like fancy breads and so on, and you can like mess that up. Like the first time I tried to make proper baguettes, they didn't seal properly and stuff, and like that you can mess up. But generally, once you got it in the oven, you're good. With like
Mm-hmm.
cooking, you can make mistakes up until like the last salting of the dish.
Ooh.
It's too many opportunities.
Mechanics. The mechanics are hard. Please nerf. Ice Frog. Ice Frog. Valve, please. No. All right. Okay. So that's the stint on cooking and baking. So I now know the difference, which makes me feel a little bit better because I do agree. Baking is actually easier.
Yeah.
I've baked
People
more than I
always tell me
cooked.
it's really hard, and I'm just like, no, guys, it's super easy.
I mean, it's hard conceptually, but once you like get it out there and just do it, it's like boom, there it is. Anyway, all right, moving on. So what other games do you play? Since you mentioned that you play other games.
I have a huge Steam. Oh, so mostly I play Dota, obviously, with my free time. I really like story-based games. That's my other thing. I am a huge fan of video games as a storytelling medium.
Mm.
I don't think people appreciate how much we can do with this, and I really like seeing all the new games coming out where people are clearly giving it a try. both. I also really enjoy the changes that we're seeing in the scene. So a good example is in The Last of Us. It's essentially a story aimed not at the typical demographic because it's entirely a mission of saving this young child, and it's about this guy who lost his daughter. And of course, it appeals to people who've been playing video games for a long time because a lot of the people who played it when they were younger are now older and have kids.
Yeah.
And proving that you can have a game not about saving a love interest, but about saving a child be a success, I think did a lot of good things. Obviously, it was a popular storyline because a very popular similar game, a game with a similar saving a child storyline has come out recently. And I just love seeing that type of thing change. Also, it was a game where many of my friends who played it were telling me, we played it in like 3 days and it was fine. But a lot of my friends who were playing it were like, I had to get up at times and stop playing because it was making me so emotional. And I do think there is strong power in games of attaching you to characters.
Yeah.
Another example of this is Firewatch recently came out and had a very innovative storytelling style. And it's mainly a storytelling game. Like, it's one of those games where you can't really dick up, you know? It's like you just have to do what the game says. But it tells you this beautiful story, and you're like, oh, okay, video games can be interactive storytelling mediums. So I really like that.
Yeah, exactly. And a few things to throw in there with The Last of Us. It actually freaked me out because, you know, I never played The Last of Us. I had no intention of playing it. But the fact that my cousin... my cousin. The fact that my cousin, he's like, you know, 56 or something, never played a video game in his life, as far as I understand it. He was like, yeah, you know, he's like, Cool Blue. Okay, Taquan, my name's Taquan. He's like, Taquan, I'm gonna give me one of them PS4 so I can play The Last of Us. People keep talking about it. I was like, really? You're gonna get a PS4 to play the last? What? What is that? Oh, PS3. It was PS3 at the time. Whatever. But he's like, I was like, you're gonna buy a console just to. And we were having a legitimate discussion about why he should get a PS3 over Xbox because PS3 is more streamlined. Sorry, Microsoft, you did a good job, but come on, PS3 is more streamlined. I'm sorry. This is my personal opinion. I'm Team Microsoft all the way though, so sorry. Just they lost on that war. It's just overall a better idea. Blu-ray player, come on. My bias aside, yeah, storytelling is a huge thing, especially the story with like somebody gets cancer or something like that. There's like a story game with that. I forgot what game that was.
I think there have been a lot of people really experimenting with what stories they can tell, and I'm loving it. I'm eating it all up because I think that's really cool and really important. Yeah. So anyway, that's like I play a lot of different games, but I have a thing for like that's actually why I really did enjoy Final Fantasy. When you were like, I'm done with Final Fantasy, I wanted to like hear more of the story behind that.
No. And question, did you like Bastion? Was Bastion your cup of tea?
I like Bastion.
Yeah, Bastion was awesome. That announcer, though, like, oh my god, that voice.
I mean, there are just a lot of good games and not enough time in the day is my issue.
There you go. Actually, how about we just quit our day jobs, just keep playing games all day?
Yeah, that is the dream, eh?
Nah, that'll get boring very fast. JK, it'll be amazing. Alright, so moving on to the last few questions. What is... wow, words. Do you have any interesting talents that you would be okay with telling the internet?
I mean, not really. I don't think I have anything particularly interesting. I'm really good at maths generally. That's always a subject I've excelled at. But other than that, I wouldn't say anything like super interesting or different.
Art? Anything art?
No.
Design?
No. I mean, I'm good at my design work, not for the reasons that most people are. A lot of people, when they like do stuff in design, it was like really, what's the right way to say it? It's like, a lot of people did like a lot of design study and stuff, and I actually came from an ECE background. I'd done a bit of design work, but not like a huge amount. But I'm really good with design because I am an idiot. Like, I don't actually, so I use computers a lot, but I don't use mobile devices and so on a lot. And because I didn't actually have a lot of exposure to that, I was like the perfect idiot for, I can't figure out how to use this, so it must be bad UI. And like, I would just do that. I would like hit stuff that people designed, or I would like hit what I designed, and I'd be like, oh, this doesn't work. Like, I would never figure this out. And so, like, you end up, like, later on, of course, you end up reading a crap ton of design books and stuff because you want to keep up with all of the different stuff coming out. But that was like, when I started out, it was hilarious because everybody's like, you're really good at this. You're really good at understanding or like predicting what users will be able to intuitively understand. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm so good at this. And I was just sitting there like, shit, they're going to find out one day. But it's because I never use any of this shit.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm so good at finding out that I don't know where the home button is on this iPad.
Because that's how it happens. And like, you know how you like you're in a work environment and you like try each other's stuff out, like you run
Yeah.
designed by someone. So that's exactly what would happen. Like someone would run their stuff by me, or I'd like try going through my own, and I'd just be like, I can't find the main button, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, you're right, this isn't like good. And they're like, good job pretending to be a user who doesn't know what they're doing, and I'm like, yeah, okay,
Oh, God.
I did, yeah, exactly.
I can picture it now. Somebody has the perfect design. The perfect design. You're like, yo, bro, I can't find the exit button. It's like, shit. And 10
No,
years
that's
later.
like, and then they'd
it's
be like,
just
oh, maybe it's just like we discuss it, and they'd be like, wow, I really thought this paradigm was becoming more popular, and I'm like, oh yeah, give me a second. And I like, go back and double check that it wasn't like something that someone else is using, and I'd be like, no, totally not popular.
It's totally popular paradigm, right? Yeah, yeah. Hey, bro, your shit's broken. Come on, fix it. No. Oh man, that is that's probably led to a lot of heartbreaks. Like I gotta be honest.
That's actually how design works a lot. People don't, design is something, life is much more about being able to get back up after you fail than I think they tell you about in school or anything. I think a lot of school stuff stresses getting it right on the first try, and like that is not how life works at all. That's not how design works. That's not how I think modern systems are working towards, unless you're in something that has like huge overhead where you actually have to get it right the first time or you're gonna lose so much money. Most people, like, you try and fail and try and fail and try and fail until you get something that maybe works and increases revenue.
You know, that can be kind of bought into the whole casting thing we were talking about earlier. But hey, we're done talking about the serious things. We're finishing up. So do you have any final shout-outs that you would like to make to anybody out there?
Shout out to my girlfriend, of course, because she is really supportive. When I told her I wanted to give this a try, I was kind of expecting her to laugh at me and be like, that's crazy, don't do that. Also because I spend a lot of time on this, and sometimes when I'm casting like weird Chinese stuff and I am like not able to have maybe the hours that I would like to spend time with her, she's really understanding, so that's super nice. Also, shout out to all of the Standard Deviants crew and so on. They're people who do stats, and they're also really nice. They are always willing to help out, and yeah, I think that's it. Also to all the people who watch me play Dota sometimes, because I actually stream a lot. I try to stream as much as possible with like how my free time allows with casting and so on, because I enjoy it and I think it's a good way to interact with people. I really enjoy streaming, and people watch sometimes, and I'm really happy about that.
It's like, I have viewers. Yeah,
One viewer makes your day, you know?
yes, especially when they start talking with you. Oh my god, it's amazing. Holy crap. Anyway, so that's gonna be it for that one. And the very last thing is, would you like to say your final goodbyes to all the beautiful people out there?
Goodbye, all you beautiful people. I hope you enjoyed the interview.
Yes, we all hope you enjoyed the interview. And if you didn't, please feel free to let us know in the comments, because we will ignore them. JK. We value everybody's opinion here, of course. So that's going to be it for this whole entire video series. My name is Cool Blue. Just brought you guys this interview here with LlamaDownUnder, the one and only LlamaDownUnder. And Llama, do you have any links you want to throw out there besides the ones that are on the screen? Like any other, check me out here, check me out there.
Oh, just pretty much, I think, as you said, I'm on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube as LlamaDownUnder. And that's where I try to hang out if you have any feedback. Twitter's a good way to reach me. I also have email at llamadownunderqa at gmail.com. But yeah, I think tweeting at me is generally a good way, or just popping into stream chat, because we're actually always chatting in my stream chat because we're weirdos.
Yeah, we're all weird. But weird is good. If we're not weird, then we're not normal.
Yeah, we managed to make it work.
Yeah, humans. Go human. Good job, humanity. Alright, so that's going to be it for this. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And like I said, my name's Cool Blue, and we're going to go ahead and close out this one. And you all have a good day, and we will see you guys whenever. And gals. You guys and gals. Gals, whenever. Everybody. We'll see everybody whenever. Bye.